York is second only to Canterbury in the ecclesiastical hierarchy of the Church of England. It is the seat of an archbishop rather than a bishop, whose territory is the north of England. His title is Primate of England, whereas Canterbury is Primate of all England. York was never a closed monastic institution, unlike Canterbury. It was established in Saxon times as a missionary or teaching church, hence the term Minster. Today we enter through the walls at Bootham Bar and walk up High Petergate. Just as a matter of interest, gate here means street. The name for gate is bar. The church you see straight in front is St. Michael le Belfry, where Guy Fawkes was baptised. And this, of course, is the west front of York Minster, or the Cathedral Church of St. Peter, the largest medieval cathedral in England. Whilst we look along the south side of the Minster, can we just remember that it was Paul who took what was the religion of a small Jewish sect and through his preachings on his travels made it widely available to the Gentiles, i.e. non-Jewish people. But it was the Roman Emperor Constantine who made Christianity the official religion of the Roman Empire. In Roman times, York was an important base for the occupying Roman army, and Constantine happened to be in York when he was proclaimed emperor in 306 AD. Restoration work was still in progress on the East End during the time of my visit. Perhaps when you visit, you'll be able to see the magnificent east window. Either way, if you're now ready for a drink and a bun, there's a nice cafe just here. We are stood near the west door, looking along a nave of exceptional height and width. In the late Gothic rood screen, around 1500, we have life-size statues of English kings, from William I to Henry VI. Let's have a look up now into the central tower which stands above this crossing. There's the ceiling underneath the central tower, and we'll have a look now along the south transept. All around the walls of the nave and choir, just below the triforium, are, as you will see from time to time, stone shields painted with the arms of Edward II and the barons who met in Parliament at York in 1309–10. Some there look. Now look into the north transept and look at the window which is generally known as the Five Sisters. These 5 lancet windows, each 53 feet high and 5 foot wide, were completed around 1255. The vault was re-roofed between 1934 and 1951 using some materials from the previous 15th century ceiling. We've now turned around again and we're going to go through that door there into the south choir aisle. We'll head towards those steps on the left there and go into the choir. The choir stalls are reproductions of about 1829 after the previous ones were lost in a fire. The first known church on this site was some sort of wooden construction put up for the baptism of Edwin, King of Northumbria, and his court by Paulinus, first Bishop of York, on Easter Day 627 AD. This was soon replaced by a stone building which burned down around 741 AD. A second stone building, begun around 780, was ruined during troubles after the Normans arrived. Thomas of Bayeux, first Norman Archbishop, began rebuilding about 1080. This building was gradually and progressively replaced by the building we have today and is ascribed to Archbishop de Grey. If we now turn round and face eastwards, we see the altar and behind it the great east window, which is dimmed because it's behind that scaffold and sheeting which we saw outside. We'll leave the choir now and go into the north choir aisle. We've plenty of monuments, sculpture and windows to look at here, mainly undamaged at that. What's surprising about that then? Well, today we visit places like York Minster to admire, perhaps even revere, their beauty and majesty. Perhaps, like me, you at first imagine that these places have always been so well cared for and respected. But the more we learn, or perhaps I should say the more I learn in the course of preparing this series of films, the more I am surprised that these places still exist, let alone are so well cared for. Practically everywhere I've been, York, Lincoln, Beverley, Norwich, Lichfield, etc., etc., the buildings have suffered over the centuries, and I am constantly surprised that we still have them. We have had foreign invaders, the Danes, the Vikings, the Normans, who destroyed and pillaged to their heart's content. We have had fires, building collapses through faulty construction, poor foundations, etc. We have had long periods of sheer neglect. This astronomical clock, 1955, is a memorial to the airmen based in northeast England who died in World War II. Let's now have a look in the chapter house. Completed in 1296 in the early decorated period, you will notice there is no central column supporting the roof. We have had all the despoliation and thievery associated with Henry VIII's takeover of the organisation, not to mention several other periods of deliberate despoliation and destruction by native English people, not of a different religion or no religion, but of a different branch of Christianity, zealots with hammers. So come back out under the central tower and look westward. Can you see the heart shape in that window? This visit is nearly over, but do come and visit or revisit and be amazed at what we have here. After all, this building could quite easily have ended up the same as Fountains Abbey or Chervaux Abbey and many others. And here is St. Peter, the man with the keys to heaven. And now the sun has come round to the west, and to the sound of the carillon, quite unusual for an English cathedral, we can see the west front in all its glory. York Minster has many wonderful windows. This great west window is 76 feet tall, completed about 1338. But we must now leave York Minster, go back out through Bootham Bar, and take one last look back